up, Billy Berserks, and welcome to the classroom. Today we're talking about what may be one of Batman's best animated movies, The Dark Knight Returns. We slice and dice. And like and subscribe, please. In 1985, Batman was in a bad place. In a world where the long underwear action heroes of the 50s through the 70s had been replaced by hard-boiled mass murderers. The carefree hippie culture of the 60s evolved into the chaotic disorder of the 70s, the energy crisis, the Manson family, serial killers, songs on the radio that could drive a man to madness, evolved into the violent anger of the 1980s. And this is when Frank Miller would turn the Caped Crusader into the Dark Knight. 2 years before Jason Todd's death, 11 years before the death of Superman, and 40 years before the Harley Quinn fart fetish comic, The Death of Art, this comic book changed the landscape. And in the early and mid-2010s, while the MCU was running up the box office, DC was running up the DVD section of Best Buy. And these movies go crazy. Justice League Crisis on Two Earths, All-Star Superman, Superman Batman Public Enemies, Batman Under the Red Hood, and Batman The Dark Knight Returns.
Up there! Freaking weird!
You gonna tell me or only?
You're slowing down?
Yeah, we're in for a show, kid.
We have early reports coming in that this shit rocks. Batman The Dark Knight Returns was released direct-to-DVD in a two-part film in late 2012 and early 2013. I only mention this because I will not be talking about this one movie as two movies. That would be absurd, especially since this one movie is actually just 4 comic books in a trench coat. Batman has been retired for the past decade following the death of Jason Todd. But like I mentioned, this comic came out before that even happened. This is where the idea of Todd being a corpse began. I just thought that was cool. Sorry, Jason. And Bruce.
Let's call it a night, Jim.
This is a great adaptation, but my favorite thing about it is the voice cast. While I love our classic Kevin Conroy, Peter Weller is much better suited to this melancholic, listless Bruce Wayne. The addiction of Batman, the constant cycle of adventure and violence that he participates in, have been replaced by scotch and death-defying stunts. One of the most effective recurring motifs in The Dark Knight Returns comics and film is the news cycle. Bruce just sits there and stews, watching the TV, seeing the violence that Gotham has become embroiled in. The image of Bruce sitting there in front of the TV has only become more potent. Gotham has always been a chaotic city ever since Barbados founded it. But the Mutant gang is unlike anything the city or Bruce has ever seen.
Husband and wife found murdered in their sleep this morning.
Murder rates on the city's subways have reached an all-time high.
Kidnapping and murdering young children, a line even the mutants hadn't crossed until now. Despite the family paying the ransom, the mutants still took the boy's life. This marks a chilling escalation from a group many are already calling the worst criminals Gotham City has seen since the Joker. Tonight also marks the 10th anniversary of the last sighting of the Batman. Most of our younger viewers now think of him as a myth.
Batman The Dark Knight Returns is a story about great men. Not necessarily good men, but strong men, important men.
Now, I've always been very passionate about dominating other men. There's nothing like the feeling of another man submitting to your will. Now, that's power. Yeah, in a lot of ways, that's love. What are you talking about?
Frank Miller is an interesting guy, and his Randian political beliefs are deeply entrenched in this story, as are the politics of America in the 1980s. But the first arc of the story, the return of both Batman and Two-Face, is actually much simpler than all of that. This opening part of the story, apart from Batman's actual return, is probably the easiest to forget, but is still a really great way to set up the rest of it. I really like that this part of the story almost parodies the incredible leaps in logic that the '66 Batman show was known for.
His lackey didn't know much, just that whatever Dent's planning, it goes down tomorrow night.
Sure, it's Tuesday, and the 2nd of the month.
And that Two-Face said it would be twice as big as anyone can imagine.
Listen to these riddles. Tell me if you interpret them as I do. 1. What has yellow skin and writes?
A ballpoint banana.
But still ends with a moment that is very fitting for this story and tone. In the story so far, an argument has been made by the totem of 1970s therapy culture, Dr. Wolper, that Batman is the one who actually perpetuates mental illness in his victims.
You think?
Cut it out. Just look at me and have your laugh. Get it over with. At least both sides match now, right?
Yeah, no, this guy is crazy. With the Batman having returned to Gotham and gotten a good warm-up with a Two-Face storyline, he's ready to take on the true force ruining the city, the Mutant Gang.
Don't call us a gang. Don't call us criminals.
So sorry, sir, it will not happen again. Batman goes to war against the Mutant organization, with his first strike being against their tactical stronghold at the city dump. The animation in this movie is the one aspect I would call a little plain. The art in the original comic by Miller, Klaus Janson, and Lynn Varley would be really challenging to adapt accurately and make look good, but this is probably the closest we get. The dump fight against the mutant leader uses huge silhouettes with large, solid colors in the background to contrast them. The mutant gang reflects a classic Frank Millerism, and not even one of the very racist classic Frank Millerisms. That doing evil turns you into a biologically more evil person. The mutant organization barely talk like human beings, using even more insane lingo than Carrie Kelly, and the mutant leader is basically a shark man. But Batman trying to face this ontologically evil cannibal with force alone is a complete mistake. The desire of a young man to forcefully conquer his world. A desire that almost gets him killed. Another Frank Millerism. Young people are only good when they help old people. The second half of the mutant organization arc is Batman having to reassess how he fights crime now. Gotham is undergoing a changing of the guard. Longtime police commissioner James Gordon is retiring and being replaced by the anti-Batman Ellen Yindel. And the mayor even plans to meet with the mutant leader. Man, come on. Batman uses his allies and resources to stage a fight against the mutant leader that actually works for him, playing towards his strengths as an older and smarter man. Gordon releases the mutant leader, and Carrie Kelly uses speech charisma checks to get the mutant organization to the mud hole.
This isn't a mud hole.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's an operating table. And I'm the surgeon.
This is one of the coolest moments in this, and I really do hate this word, epic story. In order to return, the Dark Knight can not only defeat the mutant leader, but must humiliate him. Striking nerve bundles, cutting specific veins, and finally just absolutely unfolding his limbs. The Dark Knight Returns is a story about great men, as I mentioned. Batman has to give this anarchic group of children a new idol to follow.
The mutants are dead. This is the new face of the law.
And in other news, if you thought that the mutant leader was crazy...
Gotham City belongs to the Batman.
Batman, darling.
The Joker arc, like Two-Face's opening one, brings us back into a more traditional comic book story, but still with plenty of insane Frank Millerisms. While comics were long accused of being homosexual propaganda, Frank Miller decided to set that in marble, with his Joker being very much in love with Batman. I really like the way that Joker manipulates people, especially coexist bumper sticker therapist Dr. Wolper, to end up on the Dave Endocrine show. This and Two-Face's story are a response to the more mental health-focused social climate of the late 60s and early 70s, which Frank Miller was not a fan of. Even having Batman narrate that he's always known there was nothing wrong with Joker that he couldn't fix with his hands. The narration is one element that is unfortunately not present in the film, but luckily they do lift certain lines like that and put them in dialogue. The Joker gassing the Dave Endocrine show is contrasted really well by Batman having to fight Ellen Yindel's GCPD on the roof, with them literally not allowing Batman to help. Batman and Robin learn that the Joker will be attacking the Gotham Fair through some detectiving and a pretty terrible Catwoman subplot. This just in, Frank Miller can't write women to save his life, and he should quit trying. Batman and Robin fighting Joker and his very, very weird goons at the fair is a really good conclusion to this kinda uneven part of the story. Carrie Kelly is kinda the GOAT, sniping a weird baby bomb off a roller coaster, I have no clue how those work, and even murdering Blob from the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants. With Batman and the Joker having an incredibly brutal final fight in the Tunnel of Love, very subtle, Franklin. The Joker is voiced by Michael Emerson and delivers a higher-pitched, flightier voice than Hamill. Batman commits himself in this fight to no more from the Joker, but ultimately, I think he kills him by accident, with the Joker, finishing the job.
See you in hell.
I bet seeing this at 12 had no effect on my psyche whatsoever. Sorry for the interruption, folks. We're getting reports of conflicts arising in the small island nation of Corto Maltese. In the background of this story, the United States and the USSR have been fighting in Corto Maltese, a DC island nation used as a proxy for real Latin American countries caught up in the Cold War. Superman, another one of the strong men of this universe, has been helping the US troops in Corto Maltese at the wishes of his boss, Ronald Reagan. Superman, a strong man who should be a great man, is reduced by having to answer to another, by having a boss.
Good boy.
After Superman diverts a nuclear warhead away from Corto Maltese, forcing it to detonate above the United States, the country experiences a blackout. This is caused by an electromagnetic pulse, and if you need me to explain what that is, watch any action movie from any year. The United States is embroiled in chaos everywhere across the country.
Tonight, we are the law. Tonight, I am the law.
Everywhere except Gotham City.
Listen up! This is our neighborhood! Our homes! We're better than this!
Because of their great men and the people they influence. Batman and his Bat Boys bring order back to Gotham while the rest of the country is drowning in violence, an embarrassment to the AIDS denier himself, sicking Superman on Gotham's defender.
We don't have to do this.
Sure we do.
It's really funny that this fight, which is by far the most famous part of The Dark Knight Returns, is all but about 20 minutes of this movie, but it earns it. Clark Kent is voiced by Mark Valley, and he does a really great job. He is clearly reluctant to fight Bruce, but is angry that he isn't listening to the president. He also voices the Cyclops in Shrek 3. I also love that this part of the story includes violent leftist Uncle Green Arrow, who Superman disarmed years ago. This just in, I don't even know how to explain how fucking cool this fight is. Batman using this fight not only to fake his own death, but to totally show Superman that he can kick his ass, isn't just the climax of this movie, it's like the climax of every movie. It's that good. I could pick every line from this fight to show just how great the dialogue is, but that seems a little indulgent, and I want this video to be monetized, so if I could just pick one.
It doesn't matter. It's their world and they won't stand for you anymore. If it isn't me, it'll just be someone else.
Really? Who do they send after you?
Superman is an idealist in this story. That's why he believes in his dementia-addled boss. But Batman is a realist. Superman is recognizing the truth that if Batman continues to operate like this, the government will never give up pursuing him. But Batman is also recognizing the truth that if he can stop Superman, there is no one else they can send to stop him. Batman and Green Arrow ultimately perform their team-up ability Kryptonite Arrow to subdue Clark, but not kill him because this Batman is still not a killer. I think that people misremember this version of Batman as a murderer. Thank you, Zack Snyder. But he doesn't even kill the mutant leader. This Batman is just not a killer. There's a denouement with Selina Kyle having a woman meltdown, a classic Frank Millerism, and there's a really touching exchange between Clark and Commissioner Gordon.
Were you a friend?
I think so. I honestly couldn't say.
Sounds about right.
And a classic good guy Clark move, being very kind to this Muslim woman, very uncommon for a Frank Miller story. I haven't talked much about Gordon yet, but I really enjoy his portrayal in this movie, as a man grappling with what to do, how to help, after he is no longer at his post. The story ultimately wraps up with Bruce, Carrie, and Ollie setting up these Sons of Batman in the caves outside of Gotham City. Having looked for a good death, he can now finally pursue a good life. Also, Alfred is dead, because he had to be like 1,000 at this point. Billy Berserks, thank you in joining me for talking about what may be one of Batman's best animated movies, and is definitely one of Frank Miller's best comics. Thank you for joining us so much as always, but that is the video for this week, y'all. We licking chags and chicken legs.
It wasn't easy to make, Clark. It took years and cost a fortune. Luckily, I had both.
Hey everyone, thank you so much for watching that video. If you made it to this point, a double thank you as always, thank you so much. This has been one of my favorite DC animated movies since it came out when I was in middle school. I think that they're both so good. I think that's such a good adaptation of a Frank Miller work, which is really hard to do, and like have it include like the some of the like political stuff that makes Frank Miller's stuff what it is, and also like not include too much of it. I don't think we're ever going to get an adaptation of Holy Terror, which is good. It shouldn't have been written either. But what I have to show for my collection this week is Wonder Woman Earth 1 from the DC Compact Comics. This is from Grant Morrison and Yannick Paquette, I think is how you pronounce that. Morrison writing it and Paquette doing the art. This is really good so far. I'm about halfway through, but I really like it. I hope that I keep liking it. I feel like Wonder Woman comics, in my opinion, like even a lot of the like good runs will like go off the rails kind of quickly because like a lot of old guys writing these comics. Luckily, you know, Morrison, they're a very good writer. And this has been really interesting so far. I really like Diana's character. She's just super cool. And the art is really neat. It's very unique, especially how they do like framing. And a lot of the like borders and stuff, like hardly any of them are like traditional comic borders. But yeah, I think that that's it. I will see y'all next time. Goodbye.